Hello, everyone, and welcome to part two of my recap of the 2021 World Road Cycling Championships, where I'll take you through the men's and the women's elite road races. The women's elite road race is the penultimate race on the calendar of the Worlds this year. Um, it was really a case of the Dutch leading out Marianne Vos to take her fourth world title. Also, we thought. It was an aggressive race, as we have come to expect from Barangini, Backstead, and Harjin's win. Um, but nobody expected the Dutch to be that aggressive team. Ellen van Dijk must have attacked 30, 40 times. Same with other Dutch riders. They were following moves. Lucinda Brand was following moves and making her moves of her own. But you'd have thought with 20, 30k to go that it'd all come together. They had Van Vleuten, Vos, Vollering was still there, and I think Amy Peters was still there as well. And you thought they'd really get behind Vos to deliver that world title. But no, they were led on beautifully by the Italians. The Italians put on a tactical masterclass with Conferoni covering all of the moves. Marta Cavalli and Marta Bastianelli were covering the moves. And then towards the sprint, Elisa Longoborghini led it out. And only Balsamo and Vos could follow. Niliadoma and Blanca Catavas had a very aggressive race, but ultimately they were probably too tired at the end to go with the lead out. And it was Balsamo that took the win against a very upset and annoyed Marianne Vos. Cassian Iliadoma at least could settle for a bronze medal, but obviously it wasn't quite the course for her being a pure climber. From a British point of view, personally, I think they went for the wrong girl. Anna Henderson was covering moves for fun throughout the laps, and I think she would have been a better bet than Lizzie Digenham. But maybe on that last lap, Anna Henderson was struggling and worked for Lizzie instead. Just like the women's race, the men's race was all geared behind Belgium and what they would do for Wout van Aert, and it was very clear from the early on that what teams wanted a defensive race in the sense of just controlling it. Dutch simply because they were anonymous for Mathieu van der Poel, not knowing how his back would be. Belgium clearly wanted a quiet race, and Italy did as well for Sonny Colbrelli. But the teams that really messed that up in tactically brilliant style were the French and the Danes, with 100 inside the last 180k to go. So you pretty much got three quarters of the race still to go. Anthony Turgis, you had Cosnefroy, Clement Rousseau, Casper Asgreen, another favourite. They were all just popping off the front. And yes, the Belgians had Remco and Tim de Klerk on up there, but it never really looked like they wanted to be there, apart from Remco, because he was attacking for fun. Which looked as if it upset Tim de Klerk a little bit. The Brits had Ben Swift in there, the only real team that missed out with the Italians, and despite having Ballerini and Trenton just crash, they had to work it. And eventually, on the laps back in Leuven, they got back on. Heading towards the final 50k, it was clear that Remco was up there. He got into a very small group again, and ultimately Wout van Aert, Pidcock, Jasper Stuyven, Van der Poel, Alaphilippe got onto his wheel over the Mokka which is a regular feature on Brabants to Pale. Alaphilippe then attacked on the final time up the Smoysburg, and that was when you sort of saw a chink in Wout van Aert's armour, and probably pointed it towards an aggressive race tactic, winning. What Belgium then did was probably the first mistake that they've made in the entire race. They sent Remco to the front and they told him to go as hard as he can for as long as he can, ultimately blowing up with more than a lap to go of the Leuven circuit, which left Stuyven and a tiring Van Aert to cover moves and hope and pray that they stay with Alaphilippe. He first got away up the Woipers, however you say it, the Wupsner or something, I don't know. And after a fantastic job from Valentin Madouas, he got away there, and he was brought back by Van Aert and Van der Poel's group, but ultimately you saw then, and up the final climb of the lap, he finally got away on the penultimate time. A group of Paulus, who was on a flyer, Sturven, Van Ulgren, and Van Baal got away from the Van der Poel Van Aert group, and ultimately they would get within 10 seconds probably of Alaphilippe, but then Alaphilippe pulled away and took the rainbow jersey. 32 seconds of that group. Van Baal took the sprint for second, which is fantastic. He'd have been there as a teammate to begin with, but then clearly Van der Poel was struggling at the end and let him off the leash, and he got a silver medal. Belgium didn't get a medal in the end. It was Valgren in third. For the British point of view, it was a great race again. Pidcock finished sixth. It is a case of what might have been had he been better positioned for maybe not Alaphilippe's attack, but certainly to get into that group for the silver medal. And to me, he would have been the fastest sprinter in there. For the Belgians, for the favourite, Wout van Aert could only manage 11th place. So in the end, he was beaten by Mathieu van der Poel. And he finished 8th himself. Italy could only manage 10th with Sonny Colbrelli. Whew, and breathe. Thank you very much for watching my review of the week of the World Championships. At some point this week, I'll preview Roubaix, where it looks like Van Baal, Sturven, Stibar, Van der Poel, Seneschal and Van Aert will be the big riders that will look for the win, but maybe watch out for Niels Pollitt as well. He's probably peaking for Roubaix next week. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.